Do you think people are making it up?
I don't think they're making it up at all.
So what's your point?
I think that you can be moved in that direction through propaganda and pornography.
Come on, Tucker.
I'm sorry, Tucker, but this is not how it works. Now, up next, we're going to check in with a controversial internet figure, one of the darlings of kind of new right-wing or conservative alternative media, Tucker Carlson, because he just did an interview with Piers Morgan, the British journalist and kind of somewhat centrist commentator, and it got weird, particularly when they discussed gay people. And I definitely have some thoughts, but I want to play y'all a couple interesting clips of Tucker discussing the gays, and then we will discuss some of the things he had to say. Let's just jump right in to this first clip of Piers and Tucker talking about gay stuff.
What's wrong with homosexuality?
Well, if you encourage it and the rate goes up, people have fewer kids. I don't know. Did you do biology?
Well, no. So just to be clear, most gay people don't have kids.
That's the point I'm making.
Right, they don't.
So if all of a sudden you have more people being gay, which you do a lot.
No, you don't. People don't pretend to be gay.
Do you have the internet?
Huh?
I don't know. I'm not saying they're pretending. I'm saying you've got way more.
You're gay, right?
Well.
So we'll come back to this. We'll keep rolling this in a second, but I just want to touch on this. There's a couple of problems with Tucker already. I mean, he has this smugness to him that I don't appreciate. Like, did you learn biology? Yes, Tucker. People do understand that a male and a male cannot produce a child just themselves. However, this idea that like gay people don't have kids is just outdated unless you just discount adoption or even surrogacy and that form of reproduction. Gay people do sometimes have kids, but more importantly, this idea that like, oh, well, if gay people, there's so many things going into the declining fertility rate, and it is primarily about heterosexual women and men having fewer kids and choosing to. And there's a million reasons for that. But it's really, the gays are a very tiny, tiny, tiny contributing factor to that. And this idea rests on a false assumption that if somehow homosexuality were stigmatized, a lot of gay people would be having kids. Like, I don't know about you, but I guess if it was so unacceptable for me to be gay, I would just be alone, I guess. I wouldn't be in a marriage with a woman I don't love and having kids. Like, or at least I wouldn't want to be. And I would probably, a few might do that. But is that really what you want? More like unhappy homes, just spamming out children? Like, seems like a recipe for disaster to me. And it all rests on a claim here that Tucker will double down on. The percentage of people identifying as gay or homosexual is rapidly increased. And I don't think that's actually true. We're going to get into it because it's complicated, but let's keep listening to him.
Well, you know, we used to say that, but...
You don't think so?
Well, I used to think that, but all of a sudden
I think lots of people putting their hand up saying they're trans. That's a different issue.
Oh, it's totally different. It's not part of the continuum. It's not like gender isn't real. Actually, I can pretend...
But if you're gay, you're gay.
Well, you know, we were told...
Well, actually, Tucker, I think trans and sexuality are different in many ways, actually, but also in the sense that most people's sexuality is quite fixed throughout their life. It doesn't change. Whereas people's internal sense of self, their gender dysphoria can and does resolve or change or abate. And trans has been encompassed to include just like personality fads, like non-binary, which of course that can be a social contagion and just spread because it's literally just, it's like a fad. It's like goth. So it mimics social patterns in a way that sexuality doesn't. Your sexuality doesn't change just from social pressure, or most people wouldn't be gay. So
we were told that, and I believed a lot of things.
Do you not believe that?
Well, it's demonstrably not true because science tells us it's not true.
Do you think people are making it up?
I don't think they're making it up at all.
So what's your point?
I think that you can be moved in that direction through propaganda and pornography.
Come on, Tucker.
Well,
I'm sorry, Tucker, but this is not how it works. You cannot be moved in the direction of at least the vast, vast majority of people cannot be moved in the direction of homosexuality through porn and propaganda. I don't know about y'all. Maybe if you're like a little bi to begin with and you watch some gay pornography, you might be into it and be like, "Ooh, I kind of like that." But like a straight guy, show him gay porn, he's not going to become gay. That's not how that works. And in fact, we know that that's not how that works. To get personal and get raw and get real, I should not say raw in this context, but people like myself who are gay and who grew up as teenagers figuring that out, most of us resist the idea a lot. Most of us have this strong internal, like, oh no, I really don't want to be gay. And so for me, for example, like I would look at Victoria's Secret magazines. I would look at even lesbian porn, like two women, and really try to force myself to be attracted to it. You really try. Many people resist for years and go through intense efforts to not be gay, right? I mean, it's not conversion therapy. They're not shocking us, but most people do this to themselves while grappling with this. And it doesn't work. Because for the vast, vast, vast majority of people, sexuality is not fluid. And it is low-key kind of funny to suggest that you can be moved in the direction of being gay through pornography. And again, though, it's actually not even true that more people are identifying as gay. So I wanted to show you guys the Gallup polling. What is true is that more people are identifying as LGBTQ+. But that's because of two things: a large rise in the number of people identifying as bisexual, and then the increase in people identifying as some sort of trans umbrella or non-binary or fake thing. So if you look at this graph at first glance, it will confirm Tucker's thesis, right? Americans self-ID as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or something other than heterosexual, 2012 to 2024. And it says that in 2012, this was under 5%. In 2024, it was 9.3%. But when you look at the breakdown, the percentage of people that are gay is just 2% of U.S. adults. Of lesbian is 1.4% of adults. Now, of course, the big increases come in bisexuality and transgender, which are much higher than they once were. And I think partially that can be, like Piers suggested, because of a decline in social stigma, particularly with bisexual people. The trans one gets more complicated. Some of it is probably socially influenced and a fad, and some of it is probably people who really did have gender dysphoria feeling they don't have to fully repress themselves. I don't know. But the point is that Tucker's central underlying point here, that gays are the amount of people being gay is just soaring, is not true. 2% sounds about right, actually. And any increase that 2% represents is likely because, again, people don't feel like they have to remain closeted and hidden. If it started shooting up to 10% of the population or something, maybe you could have this conversation, but it hasn't. And people like Tucker, I don't know, do they just not fact check their narratives? They just run with something that sounds good? Yes, correct. That is what they do. I'll just agree with myself there. But let's keep rolling this clip.
I don't think Tucker.
Well, then how do you explain?
Is there anything that would make could I make you gay?
How hard do you want to try?
That's a little funny. I'll give Tucker that one. That's a little funny.
Not hard, I can tell you.
Good. That's the spirit, Piers.
But you don't actually think people can be persuaded to be gay?
Well, then why don't you explain the twofold or threefold increase in self-identified homosexuals?
As we looked at the data, there is not a 2 or 3-fold increase in self-identified homosexuals. There's a 2 or 3-fold increase in LGBTQ+, but it's not in the homosexual department. So Tucker simply has his facts wrong.
Sexuals in the United States.
I can. They used to be repressed. It used to be illegal in this country until the mid-60s. Mm-hmm. You literally went to jail.
So all through history.
Hang on. You literally were put in a prison cell if you were openly homosexual.
That was more here, actually. You guys did Oscar Wilde. We didn't. But
it was
you
terrible.
also...
Absolutely shocking.
Yeah, it was terrible. You ruled the world at the time. And now you're a joke dependent on foreign banks.
And you think that's because...
But everyone's gay, so it's like a great trade.
Why does Tucker do this, where he conflates random stuff? I don't think anyone would seriously argue that Britain, the fact that they were a global empire was because they had repressive laws about gay people. Like those two things coincided, but I don't think one caused the other. I don't know. He seems really to be losing it and just like rambling and going into edgy territory for its own sake rather than because the facts or logic lead him there. Do you guys get that from him? It's just strange to me because, well, I often have disagreed with his perspectives. When he was at Fox, he was much more, I don't know, coherent and put together and precise.
So allowing gay people to be openly gay is why we wrecked our country.
Mocking masculinity is the fastest way
different
to serve.
So he just does a total pivot here. What is people being gay have to do with mocking masculinity? There are masculine gay people, and there are feminine gay people too, but yeah, I don't think allowing some people to be different means that you are devaluing or degrading traditional masculinity. In fact, I think a lot of gays do a lot to uplift and support traditionally masculine men. Just look at their Instagram comments and followers of all the hunky celebrities. I don't know. I think he's just moving the goalposts because he said something edgy and he can't actually defend it.
To servitude.
Totally different
Ask
issue.
any Pakistani. That's why I like the
Totally different
Pakistanis here.
issue.
You talk to a Pakistani cab driver and you're like, why are you gay? And they will start laughing because they've watched the video and they're like, I'm not gay. I'm a man.
What's it got to do with
Ask
masculinity?
See, this actually is kind of messed up where he's saying, I'm not gay, I'm a man. He's suggesting that's a good attitude. No, you can be a man and be gay. Yeah, I'm sorry. That is actually homophobic. It's closed-minded. There is more than one way to be a man. And what's funny is when it comes to the trans discussion, they argue just being a man is just biology, right? It's not something you can choose. It's not a social role. There's not one way to be a man. But then here they are, or at least Tucker is, with this retrograde perspective on homosexuality that he's suddenly adopted after most of his career being totally supportive of gay people or indifferent. Now he's saying, well, no, there is a right way to be a man. So then, okay, a man who doesn't fit that is actually maybe trans. Maybe they're not a man. Like, do you not see how you're doing the same thing in a different direction? I don't know.
Ask a single Briton, why are you gay? They'd be like, well, I'm not gay, but it would be okay if I was.
Mm.
And it's like, there's no masculine self-respect at all.
You're sounding quite homophobic.
I'm not afraid of gays at all.
Oh my God, I'm not afraid. That's not what homophobic means. Homophobic at this point, the definition of that is having disdain, disgust, hatred towards gay people. And it certainly seems like Tucker increasingly does. I mean, the rants he goes on, the fact that he wants it to be illegal for gay people to have families, which we've discussed in another video, and just flinging around these fact-free assertions and then suggesting you're not a real man if you're gay. It's funny the last example that he touched on, because I actually think that response of, oh, I'm not gay, I'm a man, and I'm not gay, but, it's fine if somebody is. I actually think that's more of a confident male response. I'm not gay, and gay people disgust me and are terrible and horrible. Ooh, ooh. That almost gives fragile masculinity. It almost gives insecurity when men are like that. And I actually think some of the most masculine men are comfortable in their sense of selves, and they're not really insecure about their sexuality or how they're perceived. So they don't feel the need to be like so uncomfortable or outraged at the presence of gay people or that somebody might think they're gay. But Tucker, I just think, has it totally backwards. And to me, this moment, which did go quite viral, just kind of encapsulated his descent into strange and I think unsubstantiated territory that seems calculated more for what will go viral than for what is really thoughtful or insightful in any way. So I definitely agreed with Piers more in this portion of their conversation and just in general at this point. But you guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't yet. Hit that like button, and please do consider becoming a channel member to support my work if you haven't yet. And with that, guys, we will talk again real soon.